Hi, this is Gen X gone mad at Life in Full Viz. It's my second video of the day. That's why I'm wearing the same clothes. But I just read an article. I'm going to turn this light off. I'm finding it a little bit too much for my. Need to put a filter on it or something. I like the natural light anyway. I mean, really, natural light's always better. Sorry, let me get the lights out of my head. So it seems that the gunman that went into New York, so it's, what is it, 7:29, 25 still, and went in Park Avenue in New York, where I was just last week, and went into a particular building. Apparently was targeting the NFL. He had a note in his pocket, I guess. He blames the NFL for his mental illness and claims that the mental professional doesn't do enough to keep players safe and take care of them down the line, because there is considerable research now. In fact, out of UNC, there's a head trauma specifically studying football players in the NFL. I used some of his research in my biology classroom at Chapel Hill High and taught his son. This is kind of like I'm just terrible with remembering people's names. I'm picturing his face. Anyway, so it just, I was thinking about that, because there's been other cases of just snapping, with this and Alzheimer, the connection with Alzheimer, dementia, and if there's unresolved trauma there, sometimes these men have these fits of anger that it can be fatal to other people. And we've seen it many times with athletes. And we've seen it many times with soldiers, which is something I've talked about and seen firsthand inside my family. So first, I feel very bad for the people who lost their lives, and it's interesting watching the variety of responses to having to be evacuated from the building. Is kind of an interesting case study of humans in crisis. That's just something that is, well, one of my many personal interests, I guess. Human behavior. It's kind of a survival necessity growing up. If you were to grow up and survive and live as long as I have, with some of my life experiences, and some of them were experiences of my own choosing, because I have lived a very unconventional life. Right, Talkie? Just like you came to me under unconventional circumstances. I just felt your belly. You were eating the kitty food just a little while ago, weren't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so that kind of comes into play with so many things. What is our responsibility? Everybody loves football. Some of my fondest memories are watching Cowboys of my childhood, watching the Cowboys with my grandfather and my uncle. Back in the, it was just, I was listening. Deion Sanders has fought bladder cancer, which is awesome. And he just referenced going back to being a coach, and I was just like in my head, I'm like, don't you mean a player? But yeah, he was also a coach. Yeah, Emmitt Smith days, Troy Aikman. But there's a responsibility that an organization that capitalizes off the talents of young men, all of them, not just the superstars, they have a responsibility to take care of them down the line, just like the military and our soldiers, just like our teachers, our officers. But you have, are you gonna need to go to the bathroom? It's so hot. Can't you just go in the backyard, please? I just tried to take you there. I don't want to go walk in this. Anyway. What do I feel like I'm doing with this channel? I'm creating kind of an alt-ed platform. I haven't quite written the bio for it yet. It's an evolving beast, but it seems like it's taking shape. I think I'll end this now. And just urge you to continue on finding ways to be engaged, to break up systems of oppression. I'm here to myth bust, I guess. Having been raised by white nationalists in a fundamental of faith, having always been spiritual, but yet locked in the house of logic as a neurodivergent, and in situations where I'd kind of been tricked into going down, led my path to be the way that it has. It's taken me around the world, allowed me to see humanity and all its beauty in many very remote corners of the globe. And now I've kind of nestled myself into an area of the U.S. that's really hurting. And it's going to hurt more with what has happened. Being swindled by billionaire pedophiles. And rapists. So, I gotta get my hat. Little General's calling on you. Only you can fight fascists, okay? And it's your duty as American for this great country that I love. Stand up, do something, anything. At a minimum, try to call every day in August so your reps come back to a very full mailbox that they have to count. Peace and love.